Hey there, friends. Before the video starts, I kind of wanted to say a few things. If you don't want to hear me go on and on about current events in my life, down below there are timestamps. Click on the one to the left of story number 1, and you'll skip this entire intro. So there's that. If you didn't skip the intro and you want to hear what I have to say, thank you. If not, that's totally okay. I want to start this video off by saying obviously this week has been very, very tough. The video I made on Sunday was a very emotional one and very difficult to get through, but it was necessary as, well, I just felt it was necessary. I want to say that that video, as heartbreaking as it was kind of my way of accepting the situation. And all of you have been so very supportive this month as things have been very complicated. That video got way more views and comments than I ever expected because it's not monetized, so YouTube won't push it to people, which, with the number of people that saw it and were there to see the celebration of Tyler's life, is amazing to me. And not a single person posted anything negative, disparaging, or inappropriate, or anything like that, so every comment has been supportive, loving, caring, and to be honest with you, that means the world to me. Because of that, I can look back and know that I have an amazing fan base, an amazing audience that loves and supports. That's what I've always wanted to make with this. I have consistently said that my audience is the best, that I want to foster a loving environment. That's why I sign off my videos with much love and sleep well. And that situation has proven to me that I have been successful in that. So I want to say thank you again to all of you. You were all amazing, and you have made this so much easier, I guess is the only way to put it, to navigate. So thank you so very much. Last thing I want to say is that I know a few of you may mention that I should take more time to myself and to mourn and to just get my head straight. And yeah, sure, that's a thing that I probably could do. But the way that I cope with situations like this is through creativity. I am the kind of person where whenever my brain or my emotions are unchecked, whenever I fall into a lowest low, I tend to create to pull myself out of it. So just know that me doing this is helping me to cope and continue. Please do not feel like I should not be doing this work. This work makes me happy, and it helps me. So I hope you all enjoyed today's stories. And again, thank you all so very much for the love and support. Hello. To give a bit of background, I bought my partner a bottle of a certain brand of gin, let's call it brand X, for Christmas last year as a treat. It's a locally produced gin, and it is not cheap. We finished it last winter and we kept the bottle because it's a pretty bottle. It sat in the bookcase, a knackered old shelving unit by the front door, until we moved. I remember picking up the bottle and shaking it, even though it was empty, hoping that there might actually still be gin in it, even though there was literally none. That spring, I bought some of those bottle stoppers with strings of LED lights in them, one of which would go into that bottle and the other would go into an old rum bottle. We moved houses that June. All the bottles in that shelving unit were packed into boxes, and when we got the keys to the new place, everything in those boxes was put into the cupboard by the sink. I remember taking the fancy bottle out and thinking, that was a good gin. I should buy some more. It went on to the shelf with the other spirits in the box. At several points during that summer, I remember looking for gin and finding the empty bottle in the cupboard. Usually there would be a cheap bottle of Tesco gin or something similar that would suffice, but it wasn't quite brand X. Just your average 14-pound bottle of London dry gin. Back to this evening, I decide to go raking in the cupboard because I fancy something spirit-based, and I see the Brand X bottle. It looks like it has liquid in it. Haha, if only, I thought. But I picked it up, and it still had something in it. Only about 150 milliliters or so, but still something. I asked my partner if he put water in the bottle for a laugh. "No, I haven't touched it," he responded. I open the bottle and smell it. It smells exactly like Brand X gin. Excited, I get some tonic water out of the fridge and pour myself some gin and tonic. I'm not lying, it is definitely Brand X gin. The peppercorns are unmistakable. Neither of us can explain how it got there. Neither of us bought bottles of it in the meantime, and although the distillery is in our city, we didn't covertly refill our bottle at the distillery. It would have been ridiculous for such a small quantity. It was a real treat drinking the rest of the gin, but how the hell did it get there? To add a weird coincidence, my partner went through the kitchen at 1 after midnight, according to my radio-controlled watch, and he asked me if it was 1 after midnight. I wonder why he's asking, but it turns out that the clock on our oven is now correct. It's been wrong ever since we moved in, and I've never read how to fix it. I went through half an hour later, and it's still correct. Do Electrolux ovens sync with Antorn time signal? I've never heard of any that do that, but it wouldn't surprise me. But why did it take 4 months, though? And why tonight? Here's a little backstory so that the story makes more sense. When I was a young teenager, I listened to a metaphysical fantasy radio drama called The Fourth Tower of Inverness, written by Meatball Fulton. I highly recommend it, and you can find it on a website called ZBS Media. Intermixed in the story, Mr. Fulton would insert excerpts from the lectures of Baba Ram Dass, and in one of these clips, Ram Dass talked about the difference between a Satguru and an Upaguru. A Satguru is a formal teacher, often an enlightened master. An Upaguru can quite literally be any single isolated incident or an epiphany. Like an interaction with a person, an event you find significant, or even something you think is a mistake. Anything that gets you one or more steps further down your spiritual path. My young mind was fascinated by this idea, and I made this concept of the Upaguru a guiding principle in my life. I even named my short-lived comic strip after it. You can find them on Instagram by searching #UpaMyGuru. I have synchronicities, or Upagurus, all the time. This one was so specific to me that it seemed miraculous. In 2019, I was going through a financial catastrophe. I'd lost my life savings to a bad investment 2 years before this, and lost my job at the same time. And I was at the point where I had sold everything I could find of value. I'd been barely scraping by for months. On this particular day, I didn't even have money to eat, and if rent wasn't paid the next day, eviction proceedings would have started. At that moment, I had no idea where the money would come from, so I decided to play a game on my phone to try to get my mind off of my problems. The game was one that I'd managed to wean myself off of a while ago. It's one of those play for free, but you have to spend money if you want to get the really cool stuff in the games. In the game, you collected dragons. There are 5 rarities: common, uncommon, rare, legendary, and divine. After the game loaded, an announcement appeared about a new event where you could win a super rare divine dragon. You had to buy tickets to redeem for chests that held random prize. I spent the 10 free starting tickets they gave me all at once, without even caring if I won anything. Then, An announcement appeared saying that I had won the rarest prize, the Divine Dragon. And I had also won some gems, putting my total gems to 67, which is the year of my birth. I thought to myself, awesome, a divine synchronicity. But it wasn't over. Whenever this game gives out a new dragon, it assigns it a random 4-letter name. The name of the Divine Dragon was Upa. I saw it as Divine Upa Guru with a synchronicity on top. Needless to say, the money to pay the rent miraculously came from an unlikely place. And from there, eventually things got better. This experience felt like the universe was telling me that everything was going to be fine. Here are a couple of my more extreme glitch stories. I use them as examples in my book, The Dream That Dreams the Dreamer, where I try to explain what I believe this reality is. One night, I was up late, but that's normal for me because I'm a night person. I don't remember what I was doing, but I remember looking at the time, and that it was 4 a.m., and I was hungry. I got up and went to make myself something to eat. There's a window next to the sink, and normally you can see all the way down the street from it. But not tonight. It was pitch black. I bet you're thinking, of course it is, it's 4 in the morning, but I'm not talking nighttime dark. It was black. The only way to describe it was like the blackness was pressing up against the glass. I started to attempt to see out. I live on a well-lit street. There's a streetlight right across the street from my building, in a 3-story apartment complex that stretches to the right all the way down the block. All the sliding glass doors overlooking the street, and it also has a well-lit entrance. At the end of the block past the apartments is a controlled intersection with traffic lights and more streetlights. Beyond the intersection are more apartments. So there's no shortage of light sources outside my window, but all I could see was black. I would guess that I was looking out for most of a minute when I saw a small yellow light down the street past the intersection. It was somebody's apartment window. At that moment, all of the remaining lights that should be out there became visible simultaneously, but it wasn't instantaneous. It was like everything was on one dimmer switch, and somebody turned it from off to max very quickly. I'm still fascinated by this unique glitch. And a second glitch. I have a silver counter. It's in the shape of a ball and it fits in the palm of my hand. You click it to advance the numbers, and businesses use them to count people in lines. I used it all the time, and I kept it on my nightstand. One day I went to grab it, and it wasn't there. Checking carefully, I cleared everything off of my nightstand, onto my bed, and then put it all back. I then looked down around my nightstand for a second, and then looked back up to see it right in the middle of everything. This kind of thing has happened to me before, and I don't always get the items back, so I was grateful to still have it. I start to use it, and I notice that the count was wrong. It now doesn't register some clicks. About 1 in 10. So, reality broke my counter. And to add an exclusive As the Raven Dreams update to this story, I recently tried using it again, and now it works fine. I guess the universe doesn't like being accused of breaking something. About 6 years ago, I was working as an actor, and I was out late doing a show, and up early the next day to do another one. The windscreen wipers on my piece of crap car were out of sync, and would jam together and get stuck so they wouldn't wipe the windscreen. Just jiggle together in the middle. On the way back from my show, The rain on the motorway was absolutely torrential, and I literally couldn't see a damn thing with my wipers connected in the middle, tugging on each other. So I pulled over. Sick to death of this bloody car, I put my foot on the bonnet and pulled the left wiper out from its base, unconnected it from the right one and tossed it into the bushes, so I had the driver's part of the window screen still being wiped, even though there was absolutely nothing on the left side. I got back about 2 a.m. I lived in a block of flats in London with no parking, so I'd parked about 10 minutes walk down the road. When I got to my car at 8 a.m., I noticed straight away that the left wiper had been replaced, not with another standard windscreen wiper that is made of 2 blades connected in the middle, but with a very differently shaped single back window wiper. I stared for about 5 minutes and got in my car and had to go. The small blade on the left was wiping half of the passenger window, enough for me to see out of, and the left and right wipers weren't connecting anymore because the left was too short. I still had my back wipers, so it's not like it had been taken from the back and put on the front, but the new one was identical to my back one. No elbow connection where the blade would go, so it definitely was not a front wiper. I also had that confirmed next time I took my car into a garage. I also know for a fact that I ripped it out at the base the night before, because I put my foot on the bonnet and tugged until it popped out of the base. And driving home, there was nothing at all on the left screen. I immediately texted the guy that I was seeing to ask if he was my wiper fairy, and he not only lived an hour away, but knew nothing about it. It still absolutely baffles me to this day. Who, between the hours of 2 a.m. and 8 a.m., noticed my car parked on a crappy street in the London suburbs, saw that it didn't have a left wiper as of that very evening, and then replaced it with a back wiper they just happened to have? Hello everyone. I'm new to this sub, but I think I have an experience that fits here. I would post it in the paranormal sub, but I truly believe this to be a natural phenomena. Therefore, I thought it would fit in with this topic. I've had odd experiences ever since early childhood. I haven't really shared many on here, as many sound flat out insane, and I don't personally enjoy the rude backlash. However, I mostly visit odd subs anyway, and most of us weirdos are typically open-minded, kind, and respectful. Anyways, all I can say is that our reality is not truly what it seems. Today, I'll share with you my vortex experience. I was 18 at the time. I was an overall good kid, never drank until college, 0 drugs. It was the summer before I started college and I was still living at my parents' home. This experience happened in my bathroom after I got out of the shower. I was standing, covered up with a towel on, in front of the counter vanity mirror brushing my hair. Next thing I know, I hear this whooshing sound, followed by rapid wind as well as felt dust. I look above myself in the mirror and I see what appears to be a miniature tornado whirling at a speed that I can't explain. It was about 2 feet tall, maybe a foot across, the widest part attached to the ceiling, and it appeared grayish or black. I was basically a deer in headlights then, as I kind of went in shock, as my mind was trying to figure out what the hell that thing was. I stood back and just looked up at it. I could feel the wind and breeze on my face, particles of dust. I was a curious kid and had already experienced my share of weird, paranormal, etc. So I proceeded to reach my hand up to touch it. As quickly as I did that, my hand literally got slapped down, and I heard this voice screaming in my head saying, "Don't do that. It was there for maybe another 5 seconds, and then gone. I was left absolutely at a loss regarding what had just happened. I couldn't piece together what it was. I wasn't scared. I didn't really have any emotion and was more in awe. I intuitively knew that that would have been very, very bad had I placed my hand in that thing. The voice I heard, the slap that I got, it had saved me. I believe that to be either my higher self, a helpful, multi-dimensional being. I'm not religious, so I don't subscribe to guardian angels, but you could classify it as such. Who knows? Maybe it was myself from another timeline helping myself. This happened in the summer of 2000. There was less about this topic back then than there is now. I've never experienced one since, and I'm grateful that I did. I truly believe that these things to be some sort of natural phenomena that our science cannot explain. Or science won't explain. Or just flat out, the science that has been hidden or suppressed from us. In my heart, I believe that vortex to have been a portal to either a different time period, dimension, world, or alternate reality. Think of the Bermuda Triangle, much smaller scale though. That would be the most basic example that I can think of if you're trying to understand more of what I believe that thing to be. Anyways, I'll likely get ripped to shreds for sharing this as a liar or being delusional. Maybe I am delusional, but definitely not a liar. That was my honest experience. It will forever stay with me, and it has allowed me to continue to ask questions about what our reality actually is. I've never stopped asking questions, as well as seeking the truth, and all you folks should do the same. Thanks so much for reading. If you have any experience or thoughts with this phenomena personally, I'd love to hear your stories. And happy fall equinox. Oh, and again, I'll share some final details to assist. I was 18, female, no mental illness, 0 drugs or alcohol at that age. The location was Madison, Wisconsin, United States. I was, and am, very open to everything paranormal. I've always questioned our system, our reality, our world. The concept of the Matrix may not be so far off. I've always been sensitive. Let's leave it at that. It had been years since I'd last had a glitch before this, so my reaction was to laugh to myself. But to put it into context, my mother-in-law lives in an alley, which belongs to a group that is joined by a downhill street that hardly anyone goes down. They use it to take their cars out to the main street, and at the exit of that street you turn a corner and there's the hospital. I had to go to the doctor, so I walked down the main street to the street outside, where my mother-in-law lives. From afar, I see a man that catches my attention, all in black with glasses and a slightly mousy face. I look at him while I walk. As I said, very few people go down that street, and he's not a neighbor. And I see that he makes the same movements in a loop. He leaves the street, looks to the side, approaches the main street almost until he gets onto the road, looks again, and comes back. He does this several times since he catches my attention, and when I reach him, he doesn't even look at me. Surprised, I turn the corner, past the emergency entrance, and arrive at the ramp, where the cars enter towards the hospital. I decide to stop to smoke a cigarette before entering, and then I see him. The same man on the ramp. I remain speechless looking at him, and he makes exactly the same movements he did on the other street. He goes down the ramp, looks, goes out onto the street, looks, and then comes back. I'm shocked. There is no possible way he could have gotten there. There are no shortcuts, no ways to cross. He didn't pass me on either side. I just laughed. The people who arrive are staring at me, but the man doesn't even glance at me. So, I just let him continue with his teleported loop, and I go to my doctor's appointment, still laughing. I'm not totally sure if this belongs here, but I'm not sure where else it fits. 30 plus years ago, when I was still way too young to have it, my mom bought me an amethyst while traveling in Thailand. And a few years ago, she had it set in a necklace and gave it to me for a birthday gift. I wear this necklace every single day, and it has a lot of sentimental value to me. I'm currently fostering a puppy, so my house has been puppy-proofed, including rolling up our area rug so that the floor is easier to clean if he has accidents. This becomes relevant in a minute. So, the other day, I took the foster puppy to the groomer, and he was scared. I was halfway holding him while the groomer did her magic, and the puppy started nibbling on my necklace. I tucked the necklace under my shirt and didn't think anything of it. We got done at the groomer, loaded the puppy into his crate, and went to pick my kids up from school. This was like an hour's worth of driving and a few trips in and out of the car. I got to my kids' school and was adjusting my necklace, and I noticed that the amethyst was gone. I was crushed, because this necklace is so special to me. We looked all over the floor of the school, the pathway out to the parking lot, etc., and nothing. I scoured the inside of the car, the inside of the dog crate, called the groomer to look, and even, super gross, I know, examined the puppy's droppings to see if he somehow swallowed it in the short time he was nibbling on my necklace. But nothing. It was in my necklace when I left for the groomer and was gone by the time I got home. I basically just gave up on ever finding it. Last night, my niece and nephew came to stay with us, so I was cleaning up the house for their visit. I was steam cleaning the floor and unrolled and vacuumed the area rugs too. The kids came over and had been playing throughout the house, and all three of the dogs have been out and about in the house. It's been sheer chaos, honestly. This morning, I randomly noticed something sparkle on the rug, and there was my amethyst. This rug was rolled up until yesterday and has been vacuumed twice. Kids and dogs have been back and forth all over it since last night. I have literally zero idea of how it could have ended up there. I don't know if this is a glitch in the Matrix, but it is super freaking weird. So, myself, male 38, mom female 61, and sister female 21, went on a shopping day trip into Cardiff, the Welsh capital, yesterday. As we were finishing up, I needed to use the toilet. So, I left them outside the shopping center and sat down while I nipped inside quickly. On the way back, I almost bumped into a guy, maybe about 19 or 20 years old. He had a red Coca-Cola top on and was carrying a Starbucks cup. I apologized and proceeded to meet up with my family. About 3 or so minutes later, we walked maybe 100 yards, and this is where I got slightly freaked out. As we walked towards the last shop, the same Coca-Cola guy was walking across our path drinking his Starbucks. He turned his head to the right, slightly behind us, and stopped for a second, staring. Then walked off past us. I looked behind to see what he was staring at, and there was a guy sat on a step. This guy was almost identical to the Coca-Cola guy, hair and face. He was also drinking Starbucks. I stopped to check myself and looked at my sister, who had a puzzled look on her face. I said to her, "Did You see," to which she cut in with, "They were the same person, right?" We both looked in the direction of the Coca-Cola guy, and he was gone. It's baffled me. I've read all about time slips and glitches in the UK, even been to Liverpool so many times, taking the time to visit reported locations. As I say, I'm skeptical, but I do find the stories and reports interesting. But this was something else. I can't shake what I saw. I don't know if my mind has exaggerated it or not, but the fact that my sister witnessed the same thing has got me freaked. I've never posted here, so I hope what I put is understandable, and I would love some input on this. Thank you. I recently got myself a pair of Bose headphones, and I loved them right from the first time that I put them on. I use these headphones for my workouts, phone calls, and whenever I just want to chill out. So you can imagine how bummed out I was when, 3 days ago, I couldn't find them. Here's what happened. I remember using the headphones to listen to a podcast while I was working out in the garage. At one point, I took them off and went inside the house to grab a drink. After finishing my workout, I didn't think about the headphones again until later in the day, when I went back to the garage. They were nowhere to be found. I spent the next 3 days searching high and low. My wife and I turned the garage upside down, checking the squat rack multiple times. We even tore through the whole house, but I was pretty sure that I hadn't brought them back inside. I was ready to throw in the towel because I couldn't think of anywhere else to look. But now, let's jump to today. I was working out in the garage again, and as I walked out to the driveway to cool down, something unbelievable happened. At the same time, my daughter, who had been helping us look for the headphones, walked into the garage to grab her soccer ball. Suddenly she said, "Oh, you found them." Confused, I asked, "Found what?" She then showed me the headphones, and I got a shiver down my spine when I saw them hanging right there on the side of the squat rack. I'd been working out for 45 minutes, and there is no way that I could have missed them. My wife and I had searched that rack over and over. I called my wife into the garage, and she couldn't believe her eyes either. It felt like a prank because the headphones were in such an obvious spot. Even my daughter thought that I found them when she first saw them. She couldn't have been pranking me because I saw her walk into the garage, and she didn't have anything in her hands. She's also not the type to play tricks. All three of us are freaked out because we still cannot explain how they magically reappeared. I started sewing in 2020. Being a newbie, I thrift as much as I can. Fabric and sewing patterns are dirt cheap at my local thrift shop. As is true for anything at thrift stores, you're at the whim of whatever someone else donates. For those unfamiliar with how sewing patterns work, they come with a blueprint for the garment, plus step-by-step instructions on how to put it together. I organize all of my patterns in a canvas bin underneath my desk. So, I'm painting my office last month, moving things from one side of the room to the other so that I don't have to clear the whole office out. I push my dresser away from the wall and see that there were sewing instructions covered in dust underneath it. As I go to pick it up, I'm wondering how long it's been there. But then I see the front of it, and I'm instantly flummoxed. I've never seen this pattern before. I have never owned this pattern. I'm a nerd and have a spreadsheet of my patterns, and it is not on it. I go through all my physical patterns, and it's not there either. Still perplexed, I put it in my pattern bin because my brain is dumb and my thought process is, what if I need it someday? Fast forward to last week, I'm rummaging around at Value Village looking for patterns that were printed in this millennium, and literally freeze in my tracks. I found the exact same pattern. There are literally thousands of patterns out there. This rack had like 40 of them on it, and this was one of them. Of course I bought it. Before we get too excited, this one had its instructions included, so now I have 2 instruction pamphlets for this pattern. Can anyone explain how this happened? It's strange enough to find this orphaned instruction, but I think it's doubly strange that I found the pattern for it a month later. Hi, Raven. I recently started hearing your podcast, and I absolutely love it. Especially the Glitch in the Matrix ones. While listening to them, I was reminded of a crazy coincidence, or glitch in the Matrix, that happened to me a while back. To start off, there is an old painting in my washroom that has been there since we moved into the house, back around 2015. I never paid much attention to it, as it was always hanging there. We'll circle back to this in a second. So, flash forward to a couple of years ago, I was watching the movie It 2 with my family. The notable parts of the It movies are the kids, the red balloon, and the creepy town. After watching it all, we headed to bed. I went to the washroom to brush my teeth, and I noticed jarring similarities to the painting in the movie. There is a kid reaching for a red balloon which is flying towards the sky, and behind it is a creepy town and a building which looked just like the one from the movie. I was speechless for a second, because all of the notable aspects of the It movie was on this painting, and I never noticed it until now. Weird coincidence, or glitch in the Matrix. Whatever it was creepy. I was at a Starbucks in eastern Kentucky in the summer of 2022. I had one of those fig bar snacks that come in the blue and pink wrappers that you can buy at Target or Costco. Each package has 2 fig bars, and I brought just 1 package. I'm reading for a few moments, and decide to tear open the package, take one of the fig bars out, and eat it. A few minutes later, I take a bite out of the second fig bar that was still in the package, and then I place it back in the wrapper and set it back on the table to the left of me. About 30 minutes later, I decide to finish the partially eaten fig bar that was still in the package. I reach to the left of me to pick it up from the table, and to the right of me on the table I see another fig bar in its entirety, without anything under it. I was shocked. Because, for one, I know for a fact that I ate the first fig bar completely, and the second partially eaten one was still in the package. And second, I'm the type of person who never sets food on a surface without something under it, especially not on a public surface that other people use. I simply have no explanation for this. So that, my friends, was this week's collection of Glitch in the Matrix stories. A collection of weird, strange, odd, awkward, obsessive. No, now we're just saying adjectives. Probably shouldn't do that. We'll start saying some weird ones and it won't make any sense, right? When do my outros ever make sense? Never. Rarely. Sometimes. But never. Sometimes never. Anyways. A good collection of stories that were weird, strange, bizarre, and unexpected. Where our expectations are subverted by this thing we call the simulation. Do we live in a simulation? Who knows? We definitely live in some weirdness, that's for sure. Anyways. Hopefully, you all enjoyed this collection of glitch stories. I know it's on a Wednesday, and I know you all know why, but sorry it's late. Hopefully there won't be any more things to cause me to not be able to do videos. Yeah. If you did enjoy the collection, please do hit that thumbs up button, as it does help tremendously. If you're new to the channel and liked what you heard, consider subscribing. That also helps a lot. Trying to push forward. Not going to quite reach the goal this year, but going to get very close, so any new subs are appreciated, honestly. Numbers are fun to look at sometimes, and they're a driving force, to be honest with you, which is really weird. Numbers are weird. You can also join the channel memberships or Patreon, where you get early access to content like this and other things depending on what you sign up for. If you sign up. You don't have to. Never expected. Always appreciated. You can also do a super thanks, which is a tip to the channel, and yeah, all that fun stuff. All money that's tipped or given through Patreon goes directly back to the channel. I do everything I can to make sure that is a consistent thing, that I'm not spending it on random things and everything. That's what my ad revenue's for. So just know that's appreciated. And it helps me do some pretty awesome things. Thanks to you guys, I have a legit copy of Photoshop now, so there's that. All right, and on the screen now, if you look up, is a collection of all the comments we got from last week for what we call the Word of the Week. Last week, the Word of the Week was equilibrium, and several of you left me a comment using the word equilibrium. It's people like these that bring a lovely balance to me doing these videos. I do the video, you leave a comment, you help the video grow. It's all in equilibrium, correct? Anyways, on the screen is the screenshots of all the comments. Thank you to each and every single one of you who left me a comment. You went above and beyond. You are amazing, and even if you didn't, you're still amazing, and I love you. Now, this week, the word of the week is one that I don't know how you're going to use, but you're more than welcome to try, and that is meteorology. Meteorology. It's a lot of O's. A lot of E's and O's. It means a science that deals with the atmosphere and its phenomena, especially with the weather and weather forecasting, the atmospheric phenomena and weather of a region. I will also accept meteorologic, meteorologically, and meteorologist. Completely acceptable. Any form of the word meteorology, or that uses meteorology as its root, I suppose. That all said, my friends, I hope you're having a beautiful week so far. I hope that I do see you again here very soon, and thank you all so very much for everything. Until I see you again, remember you are loved, you are valid, you are important, and you're the best you that you can be. Don't forget it, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And until next time, much love, and sleep well.